So this is a video about my 2010 KTM that I'm selling. Awesome bike, basically nothing really overlooked in my opinion in terms of the build out, just making it super functional, good looking, solid, keeping it relatively lightweight, and lots of nice parts that add to some good things. Only selling it just because I've had it for a few years, and I'm going to get a new bike and basically start over. Probably not change a whole lot of things. So basically that's the rally bike component there. See the other video link in the comments here on the YouTube page where I completely go through that. It's about like an 8-10 minute video where basically all the details are there, etc. So on this one I'm going to go through the bike, and then at the end probably going to merge two videos here and show you some photos with the enduro setup. So I'll basically take this rally setup off and then switch it around, and then you can see what that looks like. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the rally setup. Might just keep it, might sell it with the bike, might sell the bike cheaper, and if somebody wants a rally setup they can get it just for a little bit more, something like that. So a few options. Rally setup I'd sell for maybe $1,000, something like that, not a ton of money. So basically we'll start low. This is a Talon Wheel Set, so it's basically a British company. British companies make, let me just make sure this stays upright, make really nice billet hubs and some of the best bearings out there. If you're a cyclist, you've heard of Hope, and Hope is super well-known cycling industry, really durable, and Talon is sort of like the British Hope for motorcycles. And they make and sell different bearings for different sizes, so basically you can convert this with different end caps, etc., to KTM, Honda, you name it, etc. And I've been through many wheel set bearings with KTM's, Kawasaki, you name it, and I've never actually ever once had an issue with the bearings and the seals here in these Talon hubs. So that's kind of cool. Let's see, this is an early style fork guard, which I prefer just for less mud buildup, and you'll notice that in 2016 all of KTM switched back to this style. And uses a billet triple clamp, so these are designed for flex, so these are their high end. So basically this bike is at 6 days, so it comes with all of the blingish stuff on it. So these billet triple clamps are part of that. These clickers and preload adjusters are also part of that package, so only 6 days models have that. So there's the rally setup. I did put a slightly older style KTM fork guard on here, so you can see that this is our fender mount. And so that's off a 02, 03 era KTM, and you can see it makes it just absolutely bulletproof. So if you want to run a pack or something like that, you can. Let's see, what else do I have on here? Street legal kit, custom wired up from scratch. You can see how meticulous I am. I label basically everything there. These are Gatos Brothers pinchies with highway dirt bikes mounts. 2 extended cable, throttle control slightly longer. This is a later style KTM on-off switch, so it basically has a switch, it turns it off and on, so now it won't start, and now it will. You can see that. You can hear how easily it starts, even though it's probably 50 degrees in here. Usually it starts up pretty quickly. I just gave it one little start with the choke on maybe 2 minutes ago, pulled right over, and then basically as soon as it just turns it'll fire right up. So that's pretty cool. One switch there, and then basically some of this stuff will come off. This is another bike I have, so also has these billet mounts, and I'm gonna actually just throw this GPX one on here. There's not really much of a difference, but I own them, and I prefer the Scots, so I'm going to keep the Scots on there. Pull the Scots off this bike and put the GPX on this bike. And to just basically just keep them out and things like that. And other than that, it'll be kind of as you see it. This is the left side turn signal switch. So I have it rotated up, so you can't really click them on by accident too easily. So you can kind of see where your thumb is, things like that. And then I also have a turn signal button here, so TS. So basically you can turn this off and on. And I chose this part because it's a lightweight aluminum. It's just a little bit beefier, has horn, high-low switch, things like that. So just showing how that is. And if you look at the video for the rally bike, so there's the high-low switch. You can hear it. There's a relay right here that basically triggers that. And so it's super powerful, and you can see. And then also on the rally bike setup, I have a switch that turns both lights on right here, so you can have flood and spot. So it's kind of cool. Basically that's it for the front end. This frame and bike, I completely, when I got it, the rear swing arm bearing had been just a little bit seized up, and there was some rust on the frame. It only had 24 hours that the guy who owned it left it outside. So I really didn't like that, and it was just a little bit more beat up than I liked. And my perspective on it was that, like, do it once, do it right. I had a little bit of time at the time. My wife's pregnant now, but we didn't have any kids or anything. So basically I could work on this thing at night. So I totally tore this thing down, had the frame powder coated, matching orange, and then basically rewired it with all the stock wiring as is, like OEM, but then added a street legal kit that I wired up from scratch myself. Rather than going and getting a kit, I basically did all the wiring myself, and did that just because I wanted better components such as this switch, things like that, nice recessed turn signals, etc., etc. So let's see, I have a Chirby 7-gallon tank. This is a 3-gallon tank, and then I have the stock tank over there along with some other KTM parts. New side covers. I came up with this little heat protection thing, and I'm keeping the fastway pegs. So I'm keeping the fastway pegs and this, and that's it. Other than that, everything pretty much goes. May keep the rally set up if somebody's not interested in it. Fork guards there. Let's see, aluminum skid plate that's been welded in here. I did notice one of these bolts, this never ever happens, but happened to come out, so I'm gonna just put in a new bolt there, but just showing you how it is. That was a modification that I made to the frame before I put it on. So I basically welded that cross member in. I didn't like those like chintzy adapters, and then just to keep noise down, because it is an aluminum plate, you can kind of see, but there's a little bit of soundproofing in there, a little bit of black rubber soundproofing, so that goes a long way. And then this engine, it started as a 450 XCW. I'm like 6'5" and 235 or 225, 230, you know, so kind of a bigger guy, and that's naked weight. And so I just preferred having a big torquey bike. My last bike was like a super torquey 510, like an old 02 510 that had also gotten super dialed and got like 10 years out of it. It was totally awesome. So I wanted a little bit more power. Somebody convinced me that this 450 would be the same, and it just wasn't. And it's shorter stroke, so it has like 10 millimeters less of stroke in the piston. You know, I really wanted something with more torque. So what I did is I sent the engine off to DJH Cycle Sport up in Washington, and they made this a 518. So it's 8 more cc than a 500 or 510 or 530. You know, anything from 08 or later, and but it's still short stroke, so it's really kind of cool because it feels, acts, and handles like a 450, aka it's balanced. So 450s are balanced and 500s aren't, 510cc engines, and it's nice because it feels like a 450, but it basically has the power when you need it. So it's an awesome setup. And we put DJH's adjustable cam tensioner, billet cam tensioner. There's billet all over this bike from when I got it. There's a billet oil cover. Oil issues all addressed. Every issue with this thing is totally dialed, burns absolutely no oil. Just a sweet all-around bike. Relatively new side covers, Touratech high output stator, new swing arm bearings when that went in, maybe like 1,000 miles ago. Let's see, 1348 gearing, which is perfect for these bikes in my opinion. Same gearing I've run the last two. Just enough to have some nice low torquiness, but also enough to be fast on the highway. E-start. All of my gas tanks I use the OEM petcock, so I don't use cheap aftermarket garbage. When I rebuilt it, I replaced all the plastic, so these are relatively new. This is a piece of white plastic. I did lose this turn signal, so I'm gonna just replace that. I ordered like 6 of them at the time from China on eBay rather than going through some middleman, so I'll replace that pretty easily. Lights there, etc. So totally passes inspection. There's that Talon Hub with Excel Takasago rear rims and super beefy, slightly beefier spokes. So really not too much heavier, but just really stout, which is cool. KTM shark fin there. This I believe is part of the KTM setup, or maybe the guy who bought it. They seem to throw every doodad, gadget, gizmo you can at this thing. So they threw that in. So that's a rear brake reservoir cooler, kind of overkill. There's a shock with a PDS 4 in it, which is a heavy duty progressive spring. OEM headers, both the front and rear shocks have been gone through and were built by MB1. I had a local company named Pro Action service the rear just to make sure that the oil was changed, and I put in springs, change the oil, etc. on the front here. So totally dialed. It's I'd say with the rally setup, maybe just a hair undersprung. It's good enduro, nice and soft, but good and comfortable. With the seat, concept seat, you can ride this thing for days and days on end. I did add this strap here for tugging, and you know, basically this bike is like so comfortable on the road, off the road. These are, I forget what brand they are. They sell them at Rocky Mountain ATV. And I go a little old school. Instead of using glue, I use wire, so you can kind of see that there. And then with the pinchies, you basically never, the Gatos Brothers pinchies, you never ever get any rotation with any wrecks, etc. And then I did trim down the ends here, so basically this, you can run this with just 2 fingers, 3 fingers, whatever you want, without the big ball there interfering with your fingers. So I think that's kind of the way to go. I don't really even know why they make balls on motorcycles. Like you see if you look here at mountain bikes, they did away with balls at the end of levers a long time ago to save weight and things like that. So it's kind of an old school thing. You can see I did it on both sides. And that's really about it. More turn signal stuff there. You know, super dialed, Devol radiator guards. You know, just really clean. Oh, I guess I'll show you underneath the